Somehow, this movie was worse than the third movie. I had made a statement in my previous review for the third animated movie that it was worse than any of the Mortal Kombat movies, even the live action ones and the TV show. But I was wrong. It got worse. This movie just has Johnny Cage, like, he sucks balls on this movie. He was in the first two movies and he was really entertaining and kind of felt like Johnny Cage. I've always seen that as something they don't really get right in the movies. Like in the games, he usually is pretty the same, even if the voice actor changes. But in the movies, he's never been portrayed the best. Like in the original live action Mortal Kombat movie, he was just fine in that. The most memorable thing was obviously the $500 glasses scene, which was a pretty good scene. And it sucked when he didn't get to return for the sequel and was immediately killed. But here I am talking about another Mortal Kombat movie because of how bad this one is, so let's get to it. Johnny Cage just does voiceover after voiceover after voiceover. It's really annoying. I've never really liked voiceover movies all that much. Underdog kind of did it well, but other than that, and Deadpool, but I don't really see any other movies doing it very well, in my opinion. It's just really annoying. He ends up introducing this one black guy. I think he was his writer, and he only shows up for one more scene, but he acts like he's this big deal. He's like, "Oh yeah, this guy saved my life," or something. I don't even remember, but he shows up for like one more scene, very briefly. So it's kind of pointless. They also do flashbacks for like 6 minutes. Johnny Cage wears a crop top. I guess that was a highlight. But, I mean, it was kind of cool to see him dressed more than him in a flashback of all things. It was like the 70s or something. They get the dude that voices the parrot in the original Aladdin movie to be one of the kind of villains. And he's like not intimidating at all, and their joke is that he cusses a lot. Um he ends up turning into like a demon or some shit and then dying. And his death isn't cool because most of the deaths in this movie are lava based. Like in the Mortal Kombat games, it can be kind of cool to see a fatality that usually has blood, but with a different character doing it, like Devora, and seeing now that the blood is blue. But it just doesn't really work in a Mortal Kombat movie because you don't have anything to compare it to. It's just orange blood. It's like you're watching a PG movie. They were obsessed with Johnny Cage not giving a fuck about his co-star just to rewrite that later for no reason. He doesn't have any character development. He does this voiceover narration for like the 50th time, and he's like, "I wish I could say that I'm trying to save her, but I'm just trying to save my movie," to sum it up, is what he basically says. But like 10 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, what about her?" Because I guess he cares about her now. It's very weird. Um, Most of the kills suck. There's like this one girl that gets killed by a bus, and the bus wasn't exactly that fast, and she like monologues in the street before she dies. Like she had plenty of time to get out of the way. She probably should have heard the bus coming. They also introduced this character that I'm pretty sure they made up for the movie, and she ends up dying later. But like she takes her hood off like we're supposed to know her, but when I looked her up, I couldn't find anything about her besides from this movie. Unlike all the other characters that I'm not exactly familiar with, or I have to look them up because I haven't been in a Mortal Kombat game in a while. But then that clicks in my head, oh, that's who it is. But with her, there's nothing. She puts her tongue in Johnny Cage's ear, and then he later like kicks her head off, and he thinks it's cool, but I didn't really think it was very cool. Um, the most interesting character in the movie is Johnny Cage's assistant, which is funny because he's just kind of like a generic nerdy assistant that looks up to somebody. But, yeah, and Azarath is here. she can't even say this movie, even though I really like her. Did a few kills with her killing some demons. One of them's like organs will fall out. That was kind of cool, but it happens for like a brief second, so you have to pause it. Um, there's a lot of sexual shit that's very weird. Like she ties Johnny Cage to the bed for like no reason, crawls on him and squeezes his balls, and then just leaves the room. And then later he's in another room with a ball gag in his mouth. But it's like to keep him quiet. Like she cuts his chest open for a ritual to bring Shinnok back. It's so weird. She ends up dying. This is Serena, by the way. She looks like a fucking 80s mom, like she's April O'Neil or some shit. She's not intimidating at all. But I guess at least she has her outfit now. Also, she was the random chick that Johnny just randomly started caring about that disappeared, that was supposed to be in his movie. Because I guess that's a plot twist, even though we never even saw her in the movie. She was just talked about. She ends up dying, and when she dies, it looks like she turns into a butthole. No joke. It's not like the animation was bad. It looks like she turned into a butthole. And it's just dumb. At least, even though I wasn't a big fan of the third movie, it was kind of boring. It had memorable moments. There was funny moments and cool kills throughout. This had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Then Azarath is like, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. She's like, tells Johnny, they actually do a really stupid scene that I had to pause the movie for, where earlier in the movie, Raiden's in like one scene, and she talks about how she thinks Johnny's handsome. It was really cringeworthy. Like, you have to actually watch the scene, because I can't even describe it. But, near the end of the movie, he fucking kisses her without her consent after she says she doesn't want to date anybody. So that's cool. Not really. That's sexual harassment, if not just straight up sexual assault. And then, of course, Johnny does another fucking voiceover narration, and it turns out she's still fighting villains and shit instead of being with Johnny Cage, which no duh. They have like a joke about the fact that his assistant motion captures him in the video games. I guess that's supposed to be funny. It was kind of hinted at because his assistant signs Johnny's autographs for him because he's too lazy to do it. They make references that most people wouldn't get. Because I watched this with my friend who's older than me. He's 22 and I'm 20. I wasn't 20 yet because I recently had my birthday. But anyways, they had referenced Blockbuster of all things, which has been closed for such a long time. And I had to explain to my friend what it was. They end up referencing David Bowie, and it's like a joke about Shinnok's design. Like, okay, you're just making fun of David Bowie now for some reason. What is going on? And then near the end of the movie, they bring up the fact that is quite well known for some reason. They decide to bring up the fact that the first Mortal Kombat was banned and that game came out like 30, 40 years ago. Like, okay, that's a pretty well known fact. I'm pretty sure Mortal Kombat was the reason games started getting mature ratings. Why are you bringing it up in this 2023 movie? Johnny Cage gets spied on by like a reporter or something in the bushes. So now he's going back to Hollywood to film a movie. I hope if they do make a movie, it's actually entertaining, because this movie was absolutely terrible. I actually muted it for like a solid minute, which I've never done to a movie before, but kept watching. That's how bad it was. They also spend the entire movie talking about Johnny Cage like Nobody knows him. Nobody knows him at all, like, for his acting career. He's a C-list actor. But then this random fucking 8-year-old kid knows who he is and gives him the motivation to fight Shinnok. And Shinnok's death is by far the lamest death in the movie. He just kind of kicks him in lava. And you'd think in Mortal Kombat he would, like, be burning to death, his skin melting off, something. No, he's just kicked into lava. So, yeah, there's, like, no death, no nothing. He's just kicked into lava. Cool, I guess. Not really. Movie sucked. That's, like, to sum it up, it's probably one of the worst movies I've seen all time. Of all time.